When a new gen gets released, you ever feel like I do, where all of the trailers and all the previews coming out, a lot of it doesn't seem real at first. And when release day hits, you have to properly digest everything that's been added before it all starts to sink in that it's not a leak, it wasn't fan-made. That Meowth that you saw after eating a block of cheese and passing out to the Pokemon movie at 3 AM wasn't sleep paralysis, it's very real. But this time, Giganta Max, it doesn't sound like a real thing. Even now that we've all played through it, we've experienced it, and I still can't process that there's a form change in Pokemon called Gigantamax. Sounds like you're asking Zap Brannigan how big his dick is. How big is it, sir? Gigantamaximum, Kif. But it's actually real. And I was skeptical at first, sounding like they're scaling up Pokemon and selling it onto us as a new form change, which, yeah, kinda. They kinda did. And a lot of them turned out to bang. Even the overrated ones, which I rinsed out a few months back. And I know by now, everyone's been sweating it out, rushing out every possible Gala top 10 ranked video they can come up with. But I don't care. Doesn't matter. Because these are the ones that bang the hardest. The best ones Game Freak spawned for us. Undisputed best Giganta maximum forms. Because subjective... what does that even mean? Out of all of them, this is one of the better ones, purely because it didn't need to happen. Everyone knows Charizard's already training with some octopus polishing up his grappling skills, because if any talk of a form change is happening, he's already ankle-picked it before the leaks even happen. Galarian form, maybe could have happened in a predictable way, but the odds of Butterfree being one of the staple mons for a completely new form change, that would have got you a decent return. I mean, it's still Kanto, and early enough in the Pokédex to be considered in the first place. It's not like Ducklet level odds, but Gigantamax Butterfree, that's still really unexpected. It's one of the best, purely because you could argue it's the main one that actually needed the extra spicy Dynamax form in the first place. Out of the 8 revealed before the game's release, everyone's already talking about the others before the form change even existed. No one's even thinking about Butterfree at this point. Before all this, you were just the Dum-Dum's Guide to Evolution. You were just the product of Venonut's Nats. Allegedly. Now look at you, your 55-foot tall flying weapon. Ash letting you go 20 years back, now he's popping up in the DMs like, hey, now, you up? It checks off everything that a new form should be. A necessary buff and a design change that builds up on the original gimmick of what the base form is, without going overkill on it. It's like if Mothra spawned from a bath bomb. When I first saw this thing playing through, I was kind of like, man, you're what? You're like the main villain to a Crash Bandicoot reboot, where they lost the rights to Neo Cortex. But then you see the Gigantamax form, and it all starts to make sense. It's not just Big Brain Short King, it's a giant UFO. Someone in this form thinking its signature G move was for Samus to come out and dom you for 3 turns. But somehow, this orb, it doesn't even need that kind of backup, because that big brain isn't just for show. I mean, it's obviously for show. Forehead that swole, it's non-negotiable. But either way, that wham head isn't just a hunk of glamour muscles. Its intelligence transcends that of big brain into Gigantamaximum brain. Enough intellectual wedge to control the minds of every living being in its vicinity. And it just chooses not to. Maybe it's intelligent enough to know its own strength and not to abuse that kind of power. You know, I guess it's just the same logic of why Alakazam's IQ is 5,000, yet they still haven't figured out they can enslave us. Oh lord, he has come. Thick King Pikachu has returned to the throne. Game Freak's been paying a bit of attention, alright, maybe not full attention, since Charizard is the only starter who actually made the Gala draft, but they listened to the criticism for their other golden boy, cause look at all that jelly. Oh, Pikachu has reverted back to his primal form. Pikachu doesn't care about clocking into work and being fined by the Japanese government. How are you gonna get this meat castle to pay up? You're gonna try and govern this much jelly? The Japanese finally stopped fat shaming and caught on to the gram, the thick dog gram. Base form Pikachu consumed cheat day Alcremie to cultivate a cheap month's worth of mass to reach its peak performance body. There's some cases here where I much prefer the base forms over the Big Daddy editions. Clover Knight is definitely one of those because it's already on point. You don't need all of this juice, you're sounding off on your own. The more low-key Raven aesthetic it's got going on, that works perfectly fine alone. Eevee gets juiced up purely because Pikachu did, and it's got to keep up with the dollar that jelly's raking in, because what else are Nintendo gonna slap on their postcards when you buy too much on their websites, huh? Grapplocks? What? But if there's one that's a prime Gigantamax form, it actually is Pikachu's cheat day, because unlike most of the others, Alcremie seems like it was actually made for this form change. It takes the creamy, calorie-filled gimmick to its full potential. So in a way, it is overkill, but in the best possible way. More like cheat year Alcremie. Enough cardiac arrest in this form to hand out a life sentence to the entire Snorlax species. And I guess you could say this for all of them, but how could you even command a weapon like this, 100 feet high? Wait, you got X-Cloud as the middleman here, keep one on you just to shout attacks at him, because it's probably the biggest design change out of all of them. Makes you only ever want to use this thing on a giant football pitch. At its core, what really is Gigantamax? It's just a get-dench quick scheme. You want day one delivery gains, and none of that Mike Chang six-pack shortcuts here. I'm talking the real deal here. How do I even remember that guy? And what do you get when you have an already dench specimen and give yourself a slap on the wrist on a football pitch? You get the ultra male of Gala, Gigantamax. The man ate an entire Giga Alcremie's worth of horse meat and then went top man, hands bright orange from all that yolk he's been on. Your champ's been on the Gaston diet, 60 eggs on the daily. Jeez, that's too much egg. 5 dozen eggs, Gaston. 5? That's insane. Maybe not for GMAX for champ though. Something tells me he needs a whole lot more than 420 egg. Gaston, you weapon. 420 egg a week to walk around like Iranian Hulk on CrossFit. But them CrossFit legs are a vital part to this whole design revamp in a weird way. Black as a slimming colour just makes the top half of him look that much more hard-boiled, doesn't it? Had to rock the slim fit to hide the fact that all egg went straight to all 4 forearms. He's so swole, the yolk's oozing out here. But they're obviously not literal trousers. I know the UK tailors to some grog-belly carling-filled goons. I doubt you're finding a Sports Direct prepared for this kind of XL. So he's just got black legs. Like the first form was black trunks, now he's gone up, he's got black legs. The power belt never grew up with him. That's just his legs being choked out. And when you're on a nice camping trip, you gotta be careful. You gotta be really careful when you're cooking up a mean curry. You don't fan those flames properly, give it a good enough stir, you're getting a spicy tapeworm. It's alright though, he's sound. But Gigantamax takes it to the next level. It becomes the planet's tapeworm, looking like King Kai lives on the end of it. It's similar to Alcremie in a sense where it seems like it was made for GMAX and up. It's practically the third evolution. And I was unsure at first because it looks like they just made it longer and oddly shorter than the other GMAX forms, but I was sold completely when I saw how it attacks you, looking like a cheap radiator that'd wake you up in the morning by branding your ass. And I guess that's what they were going for, seeing as it's straight up known as the Radiator Pokemon, which you wouldn't even consider with the GMAX edition, makes you forget it's even a centipede to begin with, looking more like a Chinese dragon. You're one shiny version away from making the cut for a Shaolin Showdown reboot. I should really hate some of these Gigantamax forms for even existing in the first place, because a good few of them are those overrated Game Freak #1 draft picks every time. But they're making it really hard for me to complain here because they pulled off a lot of them so well. I grill the Charizard a fair bit for being the Freak's chosen one. For the whole game, they set him up to be the strongest trainer's strongest Pokemon, only for me to flatline him with a slab of rock. But for those 5 seconds he was on the pitch for, it finally hit me. I finally get it now. This right here, this is how the general public sees Charizard normally. This is how the Freak wants us to see him. And if that's really the case, the popularity is fair game. I understand now. I get it. To people like me, pocket friend aficionados who spend their free time roasting them on the internet, Charizard just looks like a dopey lizard. But this isn't Charizard. Don't get it mixed up. For the first time, we can all see this is Lizardon. Gigantamax wasn't just gassed when it came to Charizard. Only downside to this, if Charizard bangs this much, a lot of potential we've missed out on, knowing the other two have retaken the role of Dust Collector in Oak's lab, and will probably never get this. and I appreciate this one a whole lot more, knowing that at some point in its lifespan, it looked like someone who runs a Kingdom Hearts Roxas fan page. But thanks to wishing stars from space, or space. Now he's looking like he'd beat Roxas' ass, the first fever dream he can worm his way into, looking like a Kingdom Hearts final boss, or first boss. So that alone gets the job done as a GMAX form, because straight away, it has that aura. It has that you've just showed up for a scrap aura. Really gives you that big fight feel. The base form is who you're meant to think the final boss is, but that's just a warm-up set to loosen up its hairy muscles for the final boss, Giga Grimmsnarl. Wait, no, he's not even that. He's the secret boss. He's the kind of boss who puts you to bed in one hit. The kind of boss who belts your ass so badly he grounds you for 2 weeks. Now again though, that's not even it. Gigantamax covers the entire thing in muscle fiber hair, right? You're not some heartless Disney goon. You're not a secret boss. You're the one tucking all of those bosses in for bed yourself, because you're a weaponized strand of hair. You're Bayonetta. I'd say Pokemon might have a chance of winning that matchup. Don't think they put enough Pokemon in the game to take down a 100-foot tall Bayonetta. If sleep paralysis Meowth was enough to keep you awake at night, I'd lay off the cheese for a bit, because beyond that point, that's when you start to see the real, genuine predators. Best design sick though, so I rate him. Imagine you're in bed and Gigantamax Gengar's coming up from your back garden for a 3 AM munch, looking at you like you're all 64 slices of American cheese, and he's got 1 bite left in him to finish the lot. Pikachu might have polished off cheat year Alcremie. Gengar got it done in a single bite, and Alcremie, he's off the menu. For good. It's not coming back. That thick neck's a free-fall roller coaster going straight to the Shadow Realm. And not the 4Kids one where everything goes cloudy and purple, the Japanese one, where everything goes black. Lures people in with the voice of loved ones calling to you. That's really dodgy, isn't it? If it's got the power to simulate the voices of your loved ones just by eyeing you up, Pokemon professors, they should be on this thing with a being that confirms the afterlife is real. Chuck him some GMAX Sambuca shots, make him chunder some people back up from the Shadow Realm. Real reason I like him so much, I can just replace the word Gengar with Plankton. And hoping to steal the lives with steal the secret formula. And the mouth leads directly to the chum buckets.
I'm gonna eat your ass, crabs. Wait, I'm gonna swallow your formula, Eugene. Wait.
A biased slot for this segment? Maybe. Maybe I've just got the Gala fever because it's still the fresh new generation. But Toxtricity in his base form already bangs. Easily top 3 Gala Pokemon. And from the moment this little young'un hit level 30, I knew everyone else was going to agree too. So does Gigantamax really help it here design-wise? I mean, that's all I have to go on for now, since it's not even available yet. Gigantamax with Toxtricity, it could have that subjective Clover Knight effect, where it's already good enough on its own that the new form can't do a lot to improve. The Toxtricity though, my punk rock man achieves the avatar state. All it took was a bit of poison to seep into your brain. Can already smack you up standing up, barely paying attention to you. The big man's on all fours this time. You've got his attention. Now he's really gonna big brother you.